So it's as simple as this, Simon. 1 week in, and we begun with an apology from the PGMOL over a VAR decision, which cost Wolves. I mean, who's to say they might not have scored the penalty, but at least they would have been given a penalty. Yeah. I mean, how do you achieve progress past sorry this season? Sorry's not good enough.
Well, sorry is the hardest word. Sorry is always the first step that you take in being able to reconcile in other people's minds that you're prepared to embrace the problem. Because if you don't say sorry, then you're not embracing the problem.
Right.
The second thing is about the competency and training and the belief system in the referees. Of course, we're going to now deflate. What people are going to say is, why don't you stop mucking about with adding time on and start dealing with the basic principles of the way that the game is being adjudicated? And that's a false narrative. That's a wrong corridor to go down. The two things are not indexed. The players need to behave themselves. Timing wasting needs to be dealt with, and competency needs to be questioned. I mean, Keith Hackett was going off in a direction about the fitness of the referee, the fact that he wasn't as fit as he thought he should be. He was fitter this year than last year, Simon Hooper, and so on and so forth. The bottom line is that we've got to understand at some point, as far as we're entitled to, but every other part of the game is scrutinised. So I've been a major advocate of referees being front and centre. Ironically, in this podcast that I do called Up Front, I'm doing Mike Dean on Tuesday.
Okay.
Specifically about the subject matter of referees. So
nice plug.
we can good plug that, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But we can get underneath that and understand why referees work, because no one really understands referees. No one understands how they work, what they do, what their thought process is, what kind of individuals they are. All they understand is a public representation.
But Simon, keep it simple. This morning, you and I and everybody listening should be able to hear the referee VAR audio from last night.
Yeah,
this is how they came to this decision.
The problem that I have with that, insofar as I have a problem, if the consensus of opinion comes to the point that actually it's of benefit to the game, then I'm not going to stand in front of it like King Canute. I do push back against the culture of football.
It's to the benefit of the game.
Well, I push back against the culture of football because the culture of football is not the same as rugby. It doesn't have the same respect parameter. It doesn't sit there waiting for the official. Well, we're asking. We've had baronesses come out last year and say society needs to operate in a different way, and football fans need to go around being nice to one another. Saying it doesn't make it so. We've got a culture where abuse is at the centre of it. Referees and football players and managers, anything they do is used as a weapon by the fans to be abusive towards them at times, whether it's light-hearted or it's significant. That doesn't mean that shouldn't be the next step, but we have to factor that into our thinking when referees are communicating with the VAR truck or whatever else and decisions are being made. You know, and I know, you're going to have a cauldron of a stadium screaming abuse at referees, screaming abuse at the decision-making process. So it's not a straight line of saying, what will happen now is we'll get transparency, we'll hear people adjudicating, and we'll hear the conversation, and then we'll hear the jeering crowd giving their opinion on that two-way conversation.
No, but transparency will help us understand how they came to the decision they came to.
Look, competency.
Conspiracy theorists everywhere this morning. There's Danny, the Villa fan. Danny, good morning to you. Jim, let's call it for what it is. If it was the other end of the field, 100% it's a penalty for Manchester United. The referee VAR team bottled it last night. Wolves were robbed.
Transparency is trumped by competency. You don't need you don't need to have people explain to you the mechanics of a fundamental decision. Right? You need to understand why. Well, you need to understand why a referee isn't competent enough to make that decision in the first place, and even more so, why his tier of support, his belt and braces, his ability to be able to overcome the adversity of not being able to see things in real time doesn't help him. That's a competency issue. Jim, we've got two-way communication yesterday with that penalty not being given. Right? Do you think that people jeering and shouting and listening to that conversation is going to make a damn sight difference to the decision on the field?
But this morning, if we're able to hear the audio as to how they arrived at the decision, then we're all a bit more better versed on how they got there. And that, after all, when he sat in this studio, Howard Webb promised us, here it is, listen to it. This is him promising more transparency.
Last night was a first step. You know, we've not heard this before anywhere. We've not seen it in any of the big European leagues where the VAR audio has been played out post-game in this way. We're not able to do it live at the moment, in-game. At the moment, the International FA Board and FIFA don't allow that. Maybe that will change. I'm part of a working group looking to see if we can get the opportunity to play audio out live. But at the moment we can't. So we're doing the next best thing. We're playing it out afterwards. It's a step in the right direction. We think we're pushing this. We want as much information out as possible. Last night was the first step. We picked a selection of clips that showed a range of types of incidents because there is some kind of misunderstanding about the basic processes that are applied. Yeah. But we fully understand this is a bold move, and we fully understand that once you draw that curtain back and open that box, it's open, and we have to show everything.
So that was him saying, at the moment we can't really play the audio live in the stadium, but we probably can the following morning.
Yes. Okay.
So let's have it. Where is it?
And the forum for that would be what and where?
Us here.
Yeah. Okay.
On this.
Through the media. So the media will be the arbiter of how these sound bites come out.
In here on that day, he spoke about doing a separate show.
Yeah, I'm not adverse. If I'm in the camp, which people laughed at, you included, about the idea that referees would be having a pseudo debate after a game. I didn't say it was a press conference. I said it was a referee being accountable for decisions during the course of the game. And of course, the refereeing fraternity will say, well, that's wonderful, because all that's going to happen then is what we're going to do is be persecuted for what we got wrong during the course of the game. It's not going to turn into a debate about how we did well. It will turn into a debate how we did badly. And I can understand that argument. But the moment you open the box on open the technology, and you open the Pandora's box on technology, you're going to have to go the whole hog, because whatever you don't do is what's going to be the reasons why people say something is failing. The moment we get in-game transparency, it will be something else that the naysayers say, look, the reality of it is that we've got a problem with this. Now,
possibly,
it doesn't matter what transparency we would get in yesterday's game. The bigger question is, how do mistakes like this get made by so-called Select One elite referees? How do these guys and VAR guys, we're talking about independent panels. I'm not sure what the benefit of that is in terms of having an independent faction inside the VAR.
How do these top officials screw it up?
This doesn't need in-game communication. This needs a review of the competency of the decision-making process in that game.
Well, they've apologised, and we know that. So I suppose to a degree you're right, and I get your point. If we're playing the audio as to how they got there last night, it's pretty much meaningless because the organisation itself has apologised. But everybody's going in this direction, Simon.
And you're playing it during the game, right? So what's going to happen during the game? The referee's going to be listening to the VAR. He's going to be communicating with the crowd. What are we going to do? Are we going to wait for the crowd to do a Nero-esque moment? Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah.
You're going to get the same dynamic, just people are going to be more enraged by the fact they're listening to two idiots making an idiotic decision.
Well, we need transparency,
definition.
but we do need an explanation. One way or t'other, I think we need an explanation.
For big ones like this.
For big ones like this. Yeah. Ian in Liverpool, the next day, the transcript as to how they got there has to be released, because then the fans will know how they came to that decision. I'm with you on that, Ian.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.